Welcome to Talks with Tracy, with certified hypnotherapist, life coach, and licensed mental health professional, Tracy Claremont. Tracy will share her healing journey and explore the many meaningful alternative healing methods in our world today that will support you in doing your own deepest emotional healing. So please welcome the host of Talks with Tracy, Tracy Claremont. Let the suffering end and the healing begin.
Hello and welcome to Talks with Tracy. I'm your host, Tracy Claremont, coming to you live on the Bold Brave Television Network. Thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, thank you to Bold Brave Television Network for having me and giving me this beautiful opportunity. I always try to lead with gratitude, and I so appreciate this opportunity to be here with all of you. So I hope that everybody had a beautiful Valentine's Day. Yesterday was, in fact, Valentine's Day, a day to celebrate love. I thought since it was Valentine's Day that it would be a great time to talk about emotional healing within intimate relationships. I had a lot of my own emotional healing come from intimate relationship experiences. So I thought it'd be a great time to talk about that. So often our healing and our learning blossoms within relationship. Now I say blossoms loosely. I mean, that sounds like it's blissful and beautiful. Well, we all know that doing this emotional healing and learning our lessons and whatnot does not always feel like a blissful, beautiful experience. In fact, it can be our most painful and frightening experiences, right? As we do this growth and we work on our emotions and our emotional healing to come out to a healthier place. But I will say that it is a beautiful process, and it's such an important process. And, now that I'm on the other side of some emotional healing that I've shared with you, I can look back on it and I can be grateful for the experience because without that experience, I wouldn't have experienced the expansion and been in this place that I am in today to be here with all of you. So it is a blossoming experience, even though it feels horrible in the moment. So a lot of times people need guidance in that process. And our guest today is one of those people who provides that guidance. So I've invited back the amazing Lisa Adams, psychic medium, to talk to us about some common questions that she gets when people come to her for readings. I remember her telling me one time that the majority of questions that people come to her with revolve around relationships, questions about intimate relationships they're having. So I thought she would be a great person to talk to about this. I know the first time I went to her for my very first reading, I was asking exactly that. I had gone through a painful divorce. I was entering into a new relationship, and I went to her for a reading. Now, I can tell you that I desperately wanted her to say, oh, yes, Tracy, this is going to be the most beautiful relationship of your entire life. It's going to be challenge-free, pain-free. You're going to bring your families together seamlessly and live happily ever after. I so badly wanted to hear that. Well, I did get an amazing reading from her, but it was much more realistic than that. And I can honestly say that everything she talked to me about that day and being what would be my experience actually came to fruition. Her readings are amazing. And it was very helpful to me to, um, settle into reality of relationship experiences. They're not all, white picket fences and rainbows and unicorns, especially when you're having a soulmate connection, right? So, yeah, but I love her readings. She is absolutely amazing. So I had the pleasure of visiting with Lisa Adams on Talks with Tracy, number 8. That was a few weeks ago. And I remember her talking about relationships at the end, soulmate connections. I believe she said something to the effect that when one partner is doing their emotional healing and their soulful growth and the other partner is not, that the universe or God, whoever your higher power, however you refer to your higher power, will send something to you to remove that person from your life so that you can move forward with your soulful growth if they are not also growing along in their own journey. I thought that was super interesting and it made me want to bring her back and talk more about these kind of experiences in intimate relationship and how she guides people in those. So, today, she is back to share her infinite wisdom with us, all of that just flows right out of her. It's amazing. Um, Again, I've turned to her myself many times for guidance, and I have never been disappointed. She is a highly gifted psychic medium, and she will give you the reading of a lifetime. So I really encourage you to contact her. We'll have her contact information at the end of the show. So please join me in welcoming back the incredibly gifted psychic medium, Lisa Adams.
Hi,
Good
Tracy.
morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yes, so happy to have you here. So happy to have you here. So, we've been talking on Talks with Tracy for several episodes now about people are sharing their emotional healing stories, and I found that so often um, it's their examples and their demonstrations of how they like what they went through, the suffering, and then came through how they came through it. It often involves intimate relationships. So, and I do recall, as I said, you saying that so many of your readings involve questions about intimate relationships. What percentage would you say of readings, questions and readings, are around intimate relationship?
90%. It's not just intimate relationships, but 90 of that 90%, 89% is intimate relationships. The other
Okay.
1% is family, employers, friends, but
Okay.
but
All
still that's
relationships.
all
Mhm.
relationships, but the majority is intimate marriages, boyfriend, girlfriend, 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 boyfriend, boyfriend, whatever.
Mhm.
So, yes, I get a
Right.
lot of those because people, we have an idea that we have to be with somebody all the time.
Mm. Oh, and the truth is that we don't.
No, because I mean, don't you ever want alone time just to yourself? And
I do. I don't actually get alone time to myself because I also
well,
have children. But
yeah,
yes, absolutely.
well, because you have children, that's all the more reason for you to schedule out alone time for yourself.
Um,
Because how are you going to be good for anybody else if you're no good for yourself?
mhm.
So alone
Right,
time,
exactly.
yeah, alone time is imperative for just keeping yourself sane or
Right.
anybody sane. We all need alone time.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely. And I like what you said about scheduling it out because when you do I think I am just one in a bazillion uh maybe women in particular out there who feel like that, they have to do this and this and this and this and this, and I do need to schedule time for
hmm
myself to just fill my own cup so I can, you know, go to others and be there for them.
yeah, because we can't help anybody if we're running on empty. We just
Right,
can't.
right.
So, and because when we're running on empty, and especially if you have children, um, you're giving, giving, giving because children they need that in order to grow. You know,
Mhm.
they need
Right.
to eat and they need to have a bath. So we're all busy with that. They need to be driven to basketball practice or soccer practice
Mhm.
or ballet lessons. So if you're not scheduling out time for yourself, you're just going to fall apart and get to a point to where you're forced to take the time for yourself. And that goes
Mhm.
on both sides of the relationship.
Right,
However,
correct. And I think that has been some of my life lesson, and it's also been some of my emotional healing journey, putting myself first and
mhm,
making my own self a priority. And I will say, I am much better at it now than I used to be since I did that kind of
mhm,
healing and whatnot. But, like I've said in the past, sometimes I fall off the wagon
mhm,
and I need to draw my awareness to that and make it a point to do what I need to do for myself again and carve out that time and put myself up on that list right along with the other people that are on my list of priorities.
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to. You have to, or you're gonna what's gonna suffer is your relationships. Your
Hmm.
relationship with your children, your relationships at work, and then
Hmm.
your relationship with your significant other. So
Right.
you have to do it. It's a
Hmm.
survival technique. I don't want to say technique, but it's for your survival.
Right,
Because
right. And we have to get rid of this idea of it being selfish if we tend to ourselves, take time to ourselves, tend to our own needs. We have to get that out of our thinking.
yes, otherwise you're going to end up with a horrific case of the flu and be in bed for 10 days.
Correct. And that's no fun. Then we're not helping anybody.
No, see, you're putting yourself in a
Um,
situation where you're forced to, because it's proven that if you don't take care of
mm,
yourself, it lowers your immunity. Just like when you're having, like if there's dissension in a relationship, that lowers your immunity because you're
mm,
releasing all those stress hormones. So,
mhm,
so yeah, there's a lot to it. And, but most people think, oh, I like you, you like me, let's get married, and then all hell breaks loose, you know, because they have expectations of one another. And when they find out that person does not meet those expectations, and
mm,
a lot of those expectations that we have of others have been impressed upon us through society, as far as like gender
mhm,
roles. And a lot of men now are saying, well, I don't know what a woman wants. And they don't, because we, for the past 25,000 years, women have lived under a patriarchal society. We were treated as chattel in business deals.
mm,
So, of and then in the 70s, we want equal pay for equal work. And the men have been taught, they've been hunters, bring home the bacon. And now a woman is, I don't need that. So where does the man fit in? And the
mm,
same thing with, because the man was traditionally the provider. And even just so far as 70 years ago, the man provided, the woman took care of the family. And we've had so many society changes, and everybody has an expectation from
mm.
our conditioning of the past. And then everybody has an expectation because of the new mindset in relationships. So we're all confused.
Everybody's confused. No wonder they're
Yeah.
going to you for readings.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
um, the majority of the people are have an expectation of their partner. And when that partner does not meet that expectation, then there's a problem. When in reality, the person needs to look inside themselves and deal with their own expectations, because we're responsible for making our own self happy
right.
within
And I
the
would,
yes, within the
I love
relationship,
that point.
without the relationship.
So, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I would love for you to talk about what happens when we have uh, some emptiness within ourselves because we have emotional needs and we haven't done the emotional healing. And then we look outside of ourselves for people to fill that void, right? Because so
Mm-hmm.
often in
Mm-hmm.
relationships, that's exactly what happens. And then those relationships don't work out. So hold that thought. We're going to take a brief commercial break and we'll be right back to talk about that. Or you're watching Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television Network. Please join me after the break.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy, with me, Tracy Claremont, coming to you live on the Bold Brave Television Network. I have the great pleasure today of visiting with psychic medium Lisa Adams. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining us. And I just love talking to you. So before the break, we were talking about intimate relationships and relationships in general and questions people have. And I made the statement that a lot of times, first off, I'll back up a moment. At Talks with Tracy, we talk about doing an inward deep dive into your emotional experience and doing that inward healing. And a lot of times people will look outward for their, to get their void filled, and for somebody to make them feel better or to fill a void that is really theirs to heal and fill. And we can't do true healing if we expect it to somebody else to heal us. Just even in the work I do and you do, we guide healing, right? We don't do it for people. So I I heard in a podcast, I can't remember who said it, maybe Dr. Ramani, but said never outsource the work of your soul.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's work to
Yeah,
do inward. So
yeah.
talk to me, Lisa, about what happens when we do look outside of ourselves to partners to fill a void that is really within us that they'll never be able to fill. What happens in those relationships?
Well, in those relationships, when the person is not meeting your expectations because you need them to make you feel a certain way, it's not going to happen. And then
Mm,
there's resentment builds up, and then after resentment, all sorts of other things spring up from it.
mm,
And yeah, and the thing is we're not supposed to expect anything from anyone ever other than our own selves,
mm,
because I'm responsible for my happiness. I'm responsible for my behavior. I'm responsible for how
Mhm.
I act out in society, not anybody else.
Mm,
There's nobody else, just me. And so
right.
that,
And a lot of people like to project outward, right? Blame others for their life circumstance. We were talking
hmm
about on last week's show. We were talking about being in relationship with people with narcissistic traits,
hmm
and um, we're talking about covert narcissists being like, "Woe is me," that the world
hmm
doesn't see my greatness, and like that victim kind of mentality that
hmm
often comes with that. So, yeah, that's
Well,
definitely
I was raised by a narcissistic parent, my father.
okay.
So it was everybody else's responsibility to make sure he was happy when he came home. And
Mm,
unrealistic. That again, looking outside of yourself. And what would happen is obviously we didn't meet his expectations. So he therefore would argue, punish, blame, fight, whatever,
mm,
to make sure that we did what we were supposed to do to make him happy. And that's
mm,
also a mindset that women were taught growing up. When I was in high school, we were shown movies in home economics on how to take care of a husband.
mm.
So that's a societal, that's thousands and thousands of years of an expectation that has now been ingrained in our DNA and
Right,
their DNA. So
right.
so
That's that smile and look pretty, even if you don't feel like smiling and looking pretty, right? That,
yeah, even though your husband's just recently beat the crap out of you, or
mm-hmm.
you
Mm.
have just recently beat the crap out of your child. So all
Oh,
of those are because we don't know who we are. It's kind of
mm.
off the point of, relationships, but then again, it is the relationship too.
Right, right. Absolutely. It's like the beginning of a healthy, meaningful relationship, right? Knowing who you are first so
hmm
that you can join with somebody else. Because if you don't have that first, then it can be so messy in relationship.
Yes. And if you're in a relationship and you have decided to meet your own needs, I'm not talking about being selfish and going on vacation by yourself or, ignoring it, whatever your responsibilities are.
Hmm.
But when um, when we start taking care of ourselves, we start drawing different boundary lines. And when we draw these boundary lines, everybody else who we're in relationship with, whether it be a significant other, a child, or extended family or friends, we're the toxic ones because we have changed. And hey, we're still the same, something wrong with you.
Hmm.
And so then when we get into that point, we have to reevaluate our relationships.
Hmm.
And it's when we get to that point is I'm doing the work, I'm changing me, I'm doing what I need to do to make myself happy and whole and be a companion to myself, never mind my significant other.
Hmm.
Um, you know, if the partner, the significant other, does not want to gr- change, or it's not so much that you want your partner to change, but you
Hmm.
are changing, and they have a choice to look at their own stuff, or
Hmm.
things will eventually fall apart. And that's one of the things in a soulmate relationship. A lot of people believe that soulmate relationships are forever and ever till you die, and it's all daisies and sunsets, and it's not. They're hard. They're hard
Hmm.
because these two individuals are together. They have made a contract to work things out. I'm going to show you what you need to work on, and you are going to show me what I need to work on. We hold up a mirror to one another. However, if we don't like what we're seeing, then all of a sudden it's the other person's fault. So if there is somebody, for example, if you have an abused woman whose husband comes home once a week and beats the crap out of her because he can't handle stuff, that can also be a soulmate relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because she is there to or she is there to learn from him that she is worthwhile and can stand up for herself and make her own decisions and do whatever she needs to do for her and her children. And the same thing goes for a man too. If the
Mm-hmm.
man is has decided to change and make him his own self happy, um and the wife isn't doing what she needs to do, then those, again, expectations, she has an expectation. He's changing, he's growing, he's doing what he's doing the work, and she's not. And then we get to a point where we have a decision to make, to either leave that person behind because they no longer fit within our I guess energy and growth,
Mm-hmm.
then we have to leave that person behind. And if that person who is there, that soulmate person, is there with you to do the work, and they're willing to do the work and you're not, the universe is going to remove you from their life, or vice versa, and then bring in someone who will do the work, who will help your soul grow, who will who just will go ride the flow, ride the current with you, which is what
Mm-hmm.
all this life is we're just, it's all energy, it's all one current. So somebody that'll ride the flow with you. And sometimes a lot of women feel they need to have a partner and they don't. I
Mm.
used to feel that way, but I don't anymore. I
Right.
I got married because of that, and that's not the right way to do it.
Mm. So how did you come to the knowing that you can be by yourself, that you're fine? That was through, I would imagine, growth within that intimate relationship.
Well, I had been married for 17 years, and I saw the signs. I saw the universe talking to me. And at that time, I was in the Christian community and in the Christian church.
Mm.
And I saw all the signs, but because of what I was thinking and I was, what I believed to be true, I
Mm-hmm.
stuck it out. I stayed. And it wasn't healthy for me. And like I said, the universe, when someone's not willing to do the work, which apparently I was and my partner was not, the universe up upturned my life upside down
Mm.
completely, completely. And from the minute of I want a divorce till I was actually separated was a matter of 6 weeks, and that was it. And I was in the
Oh.
car traveling back to California. I had lived away from California many, many years, and California is my home state. So
Mm.
I had to go. In other words, I was cracked wide open. All of my
Mm.
beliefs poured out, all of my conditioning poured out, and
Mm.
it was an uphill climb. It was an
Wow.
uphill climb, but I did it and I made
Right.
it.
Right.
And
I
I'm
love
not
how you
dead.
say you were you were cracked wide open. You know, a lot of people use the term broken, and I've always um, been in favor of using the term broken open, because it
Hmm.
is, it's an experience where you're broken open and move towards expansion, right?
Yeah, I had no place left to go other
Mm.
than within. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only place I hadn't really checked out.
Mm-hmm.
So, because of my own upbringing, his own upbringing, I had to go within. And I thought, okay, what needs to change? And what needed to change was I needed to learn to stand on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeah, I did. I needed to learn how to stand on my own and take care of myself, not just financially, but
Mm-hmm.
mentally and emotionally as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, my big favorite book to do that, I mentioned it in the last show, is You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. That book,
Mm-hmm.
in fact, I started that book and then I threw it away. I moved, I lost it. Next thing I know, I was staying at my daughter's house and someone had gifted her that book. And I'm like, okay, so the universe will keep bringing to you whatever you need to go. You just
Right.
have to believe that it'll happen.
Right, absolutely. I love what you're talking about. Again, we're gonna take another brief commercial break, but when we come back, I I really want to talk more about this, and I'd love to hear about like questions that people actually come to you with when they're caught up in the confusion still,
Okay.
when they are looking outside of themselves, and how you recognize that and how you help guide them through that, so that they can go within and they can gain their own sense of self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
or work on all of that so that they can be a whole going into a relationship rather than fragmented pieces trying to go into a
Mm-hmm.
relationship. So yeah, when we come back, let's continue talking about that. You're watching Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television Network. We'll be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy, with me, Tracy Claremont, coming to you live on Bold Brave Television Network. I'm so happy today to be here with the incredible Lisa Adams. She is talking to us about experiences in intimate relationships, and the true value and need to go into relationships as a whole person. We were talking about how if we're doing the work and creating the change and our partner isn't, then that partner, the universe will send something to have that partner exit our lives. And also just when a woman in relationship really does start to stand up for themselves. Often they're met with resistance, told they're being selfish. Lots of things like that that create a very difficult situation. It can be scary. I know I went through this myself. It can be painful and scary because I am a woman in our society who was also conditioned in these ways, and I believed for a long time that anything about standing up for myself was a selfish act, or doing something I wanted to do was a selfish act. And Lisa, you've been talking about these kind of things, and I have pointed out in the past that once we do start to do our work, find our self worth and our value, and start to place ourselves up on the list of priorities and make a stand for ourselves and our own importance, a lot of times there's people who are not going to receive that, and we have to be okay with we have to be okay with them not being able to support us in the way we need to be supported. And we have to be okay with letting them go, letting them leave our life,
Hmm.
right? Instead of holding on, you know?
And
Yeah.
that's very difficult because if we're not doing the work within our own selves and your partner is, they're the one changing and you're staying the same. So how can I be toxic when I'm staying the same? I'm not doing anything different than I normally did. But
Mhm.
also it the other person is choosing to acknowledge and grow their own emotional and mental self. And that's hard because you're dismantling years of conditioning through
Mhm.
society and the way we grow up in our own family unit. Uh, and that's hard because, again, we have thousands of years ingrained into our DNA. And
Mhm.
yes, that does affect the way we think. And we have all this changing and awakening and whatever
Mhm.
you want to call it, shifting, but everything still remains the same. It's
Mhm.
still the work that you do on the inside. It's the work that you do to change yourself to make you who you know you can be.
Right.
And that's it. That's hard. And it's
It's
hard if,
scary too.
yeah. So, anyways,
Mhm.
during the break, you said something, you wanted to discuss something else, and I forget what you
Oh,
said.
oh, that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted to continue on this same vein where we're talking about looking outward and looking to others to fill a void. And if we go into that with that expectation of a partner, um, it's likely the partner is coming with the same kind of issue. They're wanting you to fill a
Mm-hmm.
void.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually your resources within each other are you're going to exhaust the resources in that other
Mm-hmm.
partner. You're going to end up disappointed and in kind of like a train wreck
Mm-hmm.
situation, right? So it's really
Yes.
important for us to, when we are looking for a partner, I would imagine many people come to you and say, is this the one? Is he the one? And it's an energy of does he like me or she like me rather than do I like him or
Right, right. We
right
have a
or
tendency,
her.
yes, we have a tendency to not vet the people. It's just, oh, this person's showing me attention. I need this attention because I'm not validating my own self. So I'm going to look for external validation. And so this
Mhm.
person comes along and gives you this attention, and you feel all great. And the thing is, though, is nothing lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. But it also doesn't mean, so when there's a separation or a dissolution of a relationship, that doesn't mean it's forever. It could mean that the universe is setting you aside to keep you safe from the fallout of your partner's
Mm.
own growth. because sometimes you need to be removed so that this other person can learn their lesson or do the work. And if you're, or even just crash down to the rock bottom, and then,
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah, because you gotta, sometimes you have to be removed from that fallout. And then again, it comes to, does this person want to do the work?
Right.
And are you willing to do this with them? So,
Correct. Yeah.
so a separation can be permanent for survival, or you have learned your lesson and it's time to move on and take that information that you have learned about yourself from that relationship and move forward with your life. Some people stay stuck, stupid, and just stay right where they are and don't do any work. And I'm sorry, but a lot of people come to me and ask me questions, and sometimes I want to face palm right in front of them, but I can't. Because
Right.
sometimes people do not like what I say, because,
Right.
and yes, they don't, and I don't sugarcoat stuff. I'm very
Yep.
to the point and straightforward, blunt, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually lost clients because I have made them cry, and then they come back years later. Oh, you were right, this happened, that
Mm-hmm.
happened. But a lot of
Right.
people don't want to listen to what they already know is true and is evident by, and has been continuously revealing itself to them in the
Mm.
form of red flags.
Right. Right. So, I would imagine another question that you get frequently along those same lines would be, is my wife or husband cheating on me? Do you get that question a lot?
Oh, all the time. Well, not all the time, but yes, I do get it frequently. Um, Usually, if you suspect it, it's true,
Mm. Mm.
especially on the woman's end, because we have our intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if we suspect it, we try and talk ourselves out of it too, because we don't want to see what happens. We, the breakup or the arguing or whatever. But also,
Mm-hmm.
this is a misconception a lot of people have. Cheating is not the problem. Cheating
Mm.
is a symptom of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are wanting to cheat, you are looking for some sort of validation outside of yourself and outside of your relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
cheating is a symptom of the problem.
Right,
But
and that's indicative of a void, some kind of void within yourself that you're looking outside of yourself to fill.
mhm,
And a lot of times, I would say that that's related to a core belief of not enough and not good enough, and poor self worth. Right?
mhm.
Like,
Yeah, my narcissistic dad used to say, if you don't get anything to eat at home, you're going to go out to a restaurant to get it. And that was
mm,
his excuse for
mm,
for for his behavior. And he was a serial cheater. But
oh,
yeah,
blaming the world, correct?
yes, everybody but himself. That's a narcissistic trait. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, but for the individual, it's
Hmm.
always look inside. Always, always, always. And if you're getting the urge to cheat, if you're getting the urge to step outside of your relationship because you're
Hmm.
looking fulfillment uh, from someplace else, it's always going to fail and it's always going to be found out. And if you end up uh, your marriage or your relationship dissolves and you end up going with your affair partner, it's just the same thing. It's repetitive behavior. And
Right, because the healing hasn't happened, that you
right,
haven't gone inward to see, why am I doing this behavior, and really look at healing whatever emotion based on experience is driving that.
correct, correct.
Right,
So
nice.
it's hard. Everything. I don't care who you point your finger at or what the situation is, anything, it always goes back to you. It always
Right,
goes back to inside of you and what you're learning, what you're allowing, what you're getting, releasing and getting rid of. Because,
right,
as you're growing, some certain behaviors don't serve you anymore. They served you
right.
before as a survival mechanism, and now that's not needed.
Nice. Let's hold that thought. It's time to take a commercial break already. So we'll return, and I'd love for you to just share some final thoughts and some any kind of advice you have for people who are wanting to do the exact work that you're talking about. I would love for you to talk about any kind of recommendations for that. So you're watching Talks with Tracy on Bold Brave Television Network. Please join us after the break.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Welcome back to Talks with Tracy, with me, Tracy Claremont, and my beautiful guest, psychic medium Lisa Adams. She has been talking about, we have been talking about intimate relationships today, and just talking about how we really need to be a whole person, solid in our own self and whatnot, to really come into a healthy relationship. So it's important to do that, look inward, that deep dive inward into our own emotional experiences, so that we can be that whole person and not expect others to meet our needs, or certainly fill our void, things like that. And you've been sharing some things. We were talking about cheating. That was really super interesting. What you said, how you said cheating is about those kind of inner beliefs and feelings about yourself, and they're actually behaviors that are generated by those kind of things. So I would say overall, the message is to, do that emotional healing, go inward, um, really be honest and look at your life and develop your awareness, and be fearless and move into that kind of work. Is that what you'd recommend?
Yes, And I do. And every religious tradition, every single religious tradition on this planet always says to go inward. That's where
Mm,
the answers are. And regardless of what religious tradition you believe,
mm-hmm,
we are here on this earth and we have been given everything we need to succeed, whether it's
mm,
in business or relationships or parenting, anything we want. We have been given everything. It's just whether we choose to use it. And a lot of these things that we've been given, we don't even know we have them until we have been cracked open or until we are forced to use what we have. People
mm,
say, "Oh, I don't have patience for this." Yes, you do. You're just choosing not to use it, because if you have patience to do itty bitty teeny tiny bead work, but yet you don't have patience for your 5-year-old, you're choosing not to go there. So,
mm-hmm,
yeah, we all have a choice. That's all it ever boils down to, is a choice. And do
mm,
we want to change? Do we want to be happy? Are we willing, or am I willing to do what it's going to take to make me happy? And when
mm,
I'm happy and when I am fulfilled within myself, I have that much more love to give to a partner, a child, your fellow human being. So,
mm.
mhm.
Right. And that brings us to living in a higher vibration, right? Because then we ourselves feel fulfilled. We experience joy and we're grateful for things in our life, right? When we can come
Mhm.
to that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we once you start diving inside and learning who you are, uh, out alone. I don't mean alone, but I mean you
Hmm.
yourself as an individual within the community, within the family, within your relationship, within your work environment. When you learn who you are and what you are capable of doing and trusting who you are, you'll be able to go so much farther with anything in life. But
Hmm.
it's, again, it's all down to core beliefs and what we believe and what we need to get rid of. And a lot of
Right.
these beliefs no
Right.
longer serve us. They're survival
Right.
mechanisms.
Nice. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I just want to kind of give a pitch for your services.
Oh,
Before you were talking about, um, in relationship when there's a rupture and there may be a separation and there's choices to be made about whether or not like if you're doing the work, then you will stand up for yourself and not, be just kind of a rug to somebody, but you'll stand up
hmm,
for yourself. Another partner can choose to do the work or not do the work. I am an example of that as well in my relationship. And the way you were so helpful to me getting through my own experience that was pretty painful was I had a reading with you, and you told me that, and this was like years earlier, you told me that this would be the experience. And one of the things that you told me when I started freaking out, when you told me that, like literally, like, oh my God, no. And I didn't want to hear that from you. But here you were telling me, and you said, he's going to do the work. And he was like, you don't have to panic. He's going to do the work, right? I held on to that and I was prepared when things happened. And I heard your voice, he's going to do the work. And it helped me to both, be in my own whole person and be confident, do what I needed to do, and trust that he would do what he needed to do. So that reading
hmm.
was really so very helpful. So I really want to encourage everybody to do a reading with you. It's
Oh,
so helpful.
thank you.
Tell us how you can be reached, please.
Lisa Adams 444 at gmail.com, or I'm on Instagram and I'm also on Facebook.
All right. Well, great. It was so nice having you here. Thank you so much. And can't wait for you to join us again. You're a friend of the show and always welcome back. So thank you
Oh,
today for everything,
thank you.
Lisa. All right. So,
Enjoy
and
it.
thank you. Thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate every single person who is watching today. And if you want to reach me, I can be reached at my email, hypnowithtracy@yahoo.com. Uh, you can hit me up for hypnotherapy or life coaching, or if you just want to give me some feedback on the show, I'm more than happy to talk with everybody. And I can't wait to hear from people. So next week, I am going to be talking about self-sabotaging behaviors that that show up in our lives, and how we can start to shift those core beliefs in ourselves so that we don't engage in self-sabotaging behaviors. So that is on next week's episode of Talks with Tracy. So please join me for that. You've been watching Talks with Tracy with me, Tracy Claremont, coming to you live on Bold Brave Television Network. Thank you for watching.
This has been Talks with Tracy. Join us each week as Tracy and her guests will come together and realize that underneath it all, we are all the same and never alone. So join us each week and let Talks with Tracy be your safe place to land in your healing journey. Right here, Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern on the Bold